Hello, welcome to the comic book Comicast, Communicast, the official podcast of the Google Plus comic book community. That's the first time I messed that up, and it is a mouthful. This is issue number 3 for the week of September 18th, 2013. I'm Justin Beeson, and I'm joined by Paul Christopher.
Hello.
Each episode, we take a look at a few comics from this week that we couldn't wait to read first, as well as talk about last week's community pick of the week and other content that felt generated discussion. So let's start it off. What's your first comic this week?
Okay. So the first one that I'm going to talk about, or just my full
the first
box?
one you're talking about. We'll go to the pull list after the picks.
First one I'm going to talk about is going to be Superman 23.3. That's the one with Hell. Now, I'm not normally a Superman collector, but I really enjoyed the Hell on Earth crossover between all the super titles. And I really dig Hell as a character. I like that he can go toe-to-toe with Superman, Supergirl, Superboy, without being hugely grotesque like Doomsday was. So that's why. Go ahead.
Sorry, I haven't read any of that, and from what I read in the blogs and stuff, they kind of just called him sort of a Bizarro, but then off on his own thing.
No, because he's smart. He's not stupid like Bizarro. He's kind of disfigured, I guess, because he's scarred and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But he's smart. He's powerful. He's dangerous. He's a good villain. I really like him because he's a zealot. He wants to do the right thing. His whole thing is he wants to bring Krypton back. The only problem was, spoilers, his original plan would involve destroying the Earth. So they ended up stopping him doing that. But that was a really great arc. Unfortunately, this comic, not so much. This comic was the epitome of meh. It's it was good enough. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. You warned me. I didn't listen.
Yeah, I can't get into Scott Lobdell, and normally I try and read the ones that you pick, but I saw that and I was like, nope, I'm just not going to do it. I can't take it.
And they didn't have the I don't know if this guy is the usual Superman artist, but it's not the
the artist. Okay. No,
yeah, it's not the artist that was doing it back during that crossover, that's for sure. And it's not the artist that's done the last few covers. Again, I don't normally collect the comics, so I don't know. But the art, again, it was passable. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. So that's Superman 23.3. However, the ending was amazing. The ending came out of nowhere. That's going to be interesting. I'm not sure how they're going to work that one out. But
now, is it going to tie in? Was it a Forever Evil tie-in, or was it just going to go back into the main series?
Well, I mean, it's a Villains Month tie-in, but because it takes place on Krypton, so I don't see how
it's an origin.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, it's not an origin. It's sort of an origin. Yeah, you have to read it, but the ending has major ramifications for Superman going forward, and unless they do some sort of weird, stupid, wish it all away, Deus Ex Machina, so.
Which is always possible with DC, and especially since... Well, no, Lobdell'll still be on Superman. He's given up Action Comics. All right, so my first pick is Adventure Time number 20. This comic is literally in my top 5. It's an all-ages comic, but it's amazing. I don't know if you watch the show, but the show's great too, but this comic is great. The writer is Ryan North, who does dinosaur comics. Are you familiar with that at all?
No.
Basically, it's a web comic, and it's 5 panels of 2 dinosaurs next to each other, and it's the same 5 panels every comic. He just switches the dialogue.
Interesting.
And it's hilarious. But so he did. He's doing this Adventure Time comic, and it's really great. This one they actually just finished up an arc, so this one was a standalone issue, and it was kind of cool because the whole thing is from a first person's perspective looking at Finn and Jake, the main characters, and it's just like this mystery special guest, and they're going through an adventure fighting the Ice King in a big gumball guardian that's gone kind of rogue and gone crazy, and it's like every issue. It's a really fun issue. Ryan North, he really has the characters down just perfectly. The dialogue is awesome. They go off on little like inane tangents, just talking about random stuff, and it's really cool. And I was really bummed before now because Ryan North, that's the only comic he does, but Boom actually just released a teaser. They didn't say what it was. It's just a picture of a dinosaur in a spacesuit. I posted it to the community. Did you see that at all?
I think I did. I remember seeing something, and then something shiny distracted me, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I can't recommend this one enough, like this comic enough. It's just really good.
It's interesting because I was talking to Keith Giffen at the Baltimore Comic Con, and I don't know if you're familiar with his run on Justice League and Justice League Europe, Justice League International.
I read a couple of his Justice League issues.
Those were hilarious. They had really good stories, really good characterization, but they were also funny as hell. And we're talking about like how like kind of that humor doesn't really exist in comics these days, at least not the mainstream ones. And he was saying, it's really, like they prefer their heroes to be douchebags.
No, this
paraphrasing, and so it's cool that you can still find funny, good comics.
Yeah, no, and this is really good. And I forgot to mention also, like, at the bottom of each page, he does, he'll say, like, a little joke. But they're hilarious because it's riffing on what happened in the page, and it kind of breaks the fourth wall with it. And, I forgot. Here's the comic right here. It's a nice, colorful cover. Yeah, the art, I don't think it's the same artist every time, but the guys that they have doing it are really great. And then they always have a backup at the end, which is kind of like a mini story that they have a rotating writers do, and those are always pretty good too.
Awesome.
All right, so what's your second comic?
My second comic, and I've been waiting to get to this, is Aphrodite IX, number 5. And I absolutely, positively love this comic book. Everything about this comic book is like a 10. It's from Image Comics. The writer is Matt Hawkins, and the artist, I can't even pronounce it. I think it's a Yugoslavic name or something. I don't know. It's Stjepan, so Stefan maybe, Sejic. And this guy does the best realistic art out of I've ever seen in comic books.
So it's like it's photorealistic?
It's not. It looks like paintings. Every single frame looks like and what I mean by realistic is like they're not exaggerated proportions, exaggerated drawings and whatnot. They're meant to look like very much like regular humans. There's not like enormous muscles and stuff like that. People wear shirts and you can't see their six-pack in their shirt, that kind of thing. So the art is it's stunning. The art alone is worth it for this book, but the writing is really good. And basically, the Aphrodite character has been through like the Cyberforce comics in the Top Cow universe, and recently they kind of rebooted Top Cow, released the Cyberforce comics, and so I started reading. There's this new series that they're doing, and it's basically the new series of Cyberforce is like the prequel to the current series of Aphrodite IX. So they you should read them together. They go hand in hand. The first 5 issues in Cyberforce are free. Number 6 came out this week. That's the first one that's paid. But basically, it's the future. Like the world has basically been destroyed. There's only like 2 cities left, and it's 2 factions. One are like the cybernetically enhanced humans. The other ones are genetically enhanced humans. And it's basically science and technology versus like religion and fantasy, because like the genetically enhanced humans, they're like very much in tune with nature. They fly on these dragon things, and they believe that they're on God's side, and that they both sides think that they've got the right idea, and neither side is actually, there's a lot of gray. Like neither, like you're rooting for the genetic side because that's the side that Aphrodite's on, but you see enough characterization from the other side as well that you see that it's not 100% one way or the other. So it's adult storytelling for adults.
Cool.
There's not a lot of like stupid fan service. There's not a lot of like needless splash pages. It's a really good comic.
Great. All right. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to check that out, but I'll pick up a few issues and see how it is. So my second comic, it was going to be Savage Wolverine, but I use Comixology for like my pull list website and to keep track of what's coming out, and they were all screwed up this week. Like my pull list was missing a couple, and so it said number 9 is coming out, which is a new arc started by Jock, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But since that wasn't out this week, my second comic is Zero Number 1. This one is by Ailes Cott, and if you're not familiar with Ailes Cott, he's done some creator-owned stuff, and then he did like 3 issues of Suicide Squad. I think it was 17 through 19 maybe, or anyways, and it was like a 180 because that book was not doing that good, not that great, and then he came in and it became interesting, and then DC, there wasn't some crazy thing, but DC just kind of dropped him from the book.
Is this the New 52 Suicide Squad, or is this
Yeah.
Okay.
Just recently.
Yeah.
So they dropped him, and Matt Kent's picking it up. So, anyways, this is his latest debut, and the first thing is the cover is striking. They have some really cool design, and what's interesting about this book is they have the artist doing it, and then they have another guy, Tom Mueller. This cover's by Michael Walsh. They also had variants by Paul Pope and Becky Cloonan, so some big names. But they have a guy named Tom Mueller who's actually in the community, and he's been kind of promoting the book a little bit. He's doing the design on the covers, so there's like a dual thing going on there. But it's really cool. It's about this agent that like a special forces agent based somewhere in London, I think, and this issue is kind of a prelude. It gives you like a character introduction. He's on a mission to basically take back this biotech that's being used in enhanced soldiers. And I'm actually usually not a fan of issues where the whole thing is just one big fight, but the way they do the inner monologue and stuff, he just makes it really interesting, kind of narrating where he's going. And the art inside is really great too. It's real strong, thick, and heavy lines, and it works really well with this. And then the colors it's flat, but it works because in this issue it's a prelude. So it's all flashbacks, and then they kind of, with the last panel, they set you up to where the series is going to go, because basically this flashback happens. He stole this biotech stuff, and he's like, and then I basically ran away, and they didn't find me until 5 years later. And I'm guessing that the 5 years is where the comic's going to take place, but it's a really cool like spy story.
Yeah, I saw the stuff in the community, and it definitely piqued my interest. But now I'm never sure what's. I have to check Comixology to see if it's available there.
Yeah, no, it is, because this is from Boom.
Okay.
No, Image, and yeah, it's on there. Oh, and also one of the sites that I normally visit, multiversitycomics.com. They've been just raving about it because they read it like 2 weeks ago. And so I had to pick it up, and yeah, I'm glad I did.
Awesome! I'll definitely check that out then.
All right. So what were the rest of your books this week?
All right. So I got Batman 23.3 with the Penguin. That story was actually really good. It wasn't an origin story. They were like all at least somewhat origin stories. That one was really good. Makes you look at Penguin in a different way. Usually he gets kind of laughed at, but no, he's a boss. Batman and Robin 23.3 with Ra's al Ghul. That one was okay. It was all right. Detective Comics 23.3 with Scarecrow. That one was really good. That one is setting up the next villains month, like the next what is it called? Like Forever Evil, the next Forever Evil comic. Yeah. So that had a lot more meat to the overall storyline.
Well, and that one was written by John Layman, who's the regular writer. So you'd hope that one would be pretty good.
It was good. It was really good. I enjoyed it. And then Justice League 23.3, Dial E. This one was horrible. I mean, it was really horrible. Like I was just skipping whole pages.
A lot of people were looking forward to it. The Dial H people, because that got canceled, and this was like an epilogue for it or whatever. That's a bummer. Because it was a bunch of different artists and I think a bunch of different writers too.
The art was horrible consistently, in my opinion. Because I have varying tolerance for stylistic art. Some people can get away with it. Other people, I'm not really a fan of it. So, I didn't like the art at all. I didn't like the writing. I was like skipping ahead. I'm like, really, is this going to get any better? Is what's going on? It was just, no. I was not happy with that book at all. I didn't feel like it didn't contribute anything. And these are not people who would normally be villains for the Justice League anyway. So it's like, it just felt like they wasted money. And that was it.
Okay. The rest of mine, it was a semi-big week. I got Adventure Time. I haven't had a chance to read pretty much any of these, but Adventure Time, Batman 23.3, Penguin, Batman and Robin 23.3, Ra's al Ghul, Green Lantern 23.3, Black Hand, Infinity #3, which I'm looking forward to. The Morning Glories 31, which is awesome. I love that book. It's kind of crazy though. It's like Lost, to where you have all these like plot threads and stuff. So I always save that one for last because I gotta devote some time to take it in. Yeah. And then after I read it, Multiversity Comics does these. They do like annotation columns for a lot of like the more complex books where they'll talk about all of the callbacks that the book had and all the running plot threads, so it makes it easier to follow. And they also do them for like Mind the Gap, Mind Management, Manhattan Projects, and East of West.
If they're not doing it for the Bunker, they need to pick that up because that one is smacks of Lost.
They might.
So.
The new one, the Joshua Hale Fialkov one, right?
Yeah. It's only down 2 issues, but yeah.
Right. I mean, maybe they will once they have some more issues, and then New Avengers 10, Powers the Bureau 7. I was picking up Salvage Wolverine because I thought it was 9, but didn't do that. Spear Spider-Man, Thor: God of Thunder, which has been awesome. You really need to check that out.
I bought the first issue. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Thunderbolts 15 because it's an Infinity tie-in, and my comic shop threw it in there, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever, I'll buy it, because they throw in when there's an event, they'll like throw in the tie-ins, your pull list, and if I don't want them, I'll just give them back. But I was like, I'll take that one. I haven't checked it out since Charles Soule took over. And then Uncanny X-Men 12, which is right in the middle of Battle of the Atom, and then Zero #1.
How's Battle of the Atom going?
It's I like it. I'm liking Infinity a lot more, but I still like the Battle of the Atom. It's much better than Age of Ultron, that's for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, that was it. So last week's pick of the week, which is another Marvel book, so Paul didn't read it. This one was Avengers #19. So it's technically an Infinity tie-in, but I think they should have, made it more apparent. You really, if you're reading Infinity, you really should be reading Avengers and New Avengers, because how Hickman is working it is Infinity. He tells it like a grand epic story, and it's very third-person, omnipotent like going through all these different areas, and then you have Avengers and New Avengers, and that's boots on the ground, like right there with them, first person. You get really into it, and I'm actually liking those a lot better than the main title. So this one, it's kind of like the aftermath of their first big attack, and the Avengers went up and joined up with all the other like space races and the builders are coming for them, so they went to go fight them, and the builders just ambushed them and kicked the crap out of them and sent them licking their wounds. And so this is kind of the aftermath, showing how they're recovering, who got captured, and I mean it's been really good. I'm not a huge Hickman fan, but this has been really great.
It sounds really interesting just from hearing you talking about it. It's got my curiosity piqued. I don't know if it's going to be enough to maybe buy the trade. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see how they handle it, because there's, I think, 6 issues of Infinity, but then also 6 or 7 each issues of Avengers and New Avengers, and you really need to read all of it. Because the Infinity, it touches on the events that happened in the other 2 books, but not a lot.
Or I'll just wait for the Wikipedia roundup. And
yeah, it's really good. So anyways, that was last week's Pick of the Week. Make sure everybody go vote for this week's Pick of the Week. I'll be posting that tomorrow.
Pick something that's not Marvel.
Yeah. Well, we had Forever You last week, right?
And I think the next one's coming out next week, so we might actually get that.
All right. So for this last part, we have discussion. So, Paul, what did you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the art, basically, comic book art, and how much that affects your decision to buy. Like for me personally, there's been several books where it's like, that sounds like an interesting concept, an interesting idea. I look inside, I see the art, and I'm like, nope. It doesn't matter how awesome this story is. I can't read it. I can't deal with this art. I can't deal with this horrible, crappy art. And then other books where I might not have otherwise read it, like Aphrodite. I wasn't a big fan of like what Top Cow had done in the past. So Aphrodite, I would have just kept on going if it were not for the art. And that pulled me in. I saw the cover art, and I'm like, there's no way the inside looks as good as this cover. And it was consistent all the way through, and okay, I don't care what the story is, I'll buy it just for this art, and it just happened to be also a very good story.
I'm definitely the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I definitely gravitate towards writers, and even if the art is like, I'll still keep with it. I mean, there's a few. If the art is just really bad, I'll kind of get thrown off. But like I was thinking, one of the biggest examples I could think of was Sandman. If you've read the whole thing, obviously the story is amazing, but the art is inconsistent. And there's some of them that are just like, ooh. But the story is so good that I just don't care.
Well, another one. Good.
Oh, and I was going to say another one is Astro City. The art's not bad, but it's just kind of like it seems like it could be like a Dynamite book. But once again, the storytelling is so amazing that I just don't care.
If I'm already in a title, then I'll deal with bad art, and I definitely prefer like good writing. But I'm saying, like, if the art is so bad, then the best writing won't save it, because I mean it's a visual medium, so you need both. But like Red Hood and the Outlaws, the original artist on that book was awesome, and I'm really the book, really digging it. And then the artist left, and there's this new one in there, and I'm not digging this new artist at all. But I enjoy the book, I enjoy the story, so I'm sticking with it and waiting for hopefully another turnover, and we'll do better this next time.
So So for me, I really don't look for art. You're talking about Aphrodite being even if the art's amazing, I'll drop off. But there are a few artists that, if they're doing a book, I immediately go to. Jock for one, which that's why I'm picking up Savage Wolverine, because he's doing a new Wolverine arc where it's a 3-issue little mini arc where Wolverine's in the far future off in space somewhere. But his art is just so like. Do you know who he is?
No.
He did Batman the Black Mirror, which was Scott Snyder's first Batman story. Green Arrow Year One. He's done, and then most recently he did something with Andy Diggle. Where is it? It's somewhere, but yeah, he's got kind of stylistic. It's very like a lot of straight lines, but it's amazing. Oh, Snapshot. It's called Snapshot with Andy Diggle. It's black and white. It's really cool looking. Or Sean Murphy, who's doing The Wake right now, and that book is probably art of the year for me.
I love The Wake. I love that. It's like, where's the next issue? What is going on with that?
Yeah.
That's a great book.
Yeah. And then Becky Cloonan, who's doing True Lies of the Fabulous Killjoys right now, and she did Batman 12, I think, and she's done a couple independent comics which are just beautiful looking. Yeah. Do you have any artists like that where you see it and you're just like, oh, I gotta go buy it?
No, because unfortunately, I don't know what, like, you know, you've got this like encyclopedic knowledge of like writers and artists and stuff like that, and it's like, for me, it's more like book to book to book, and then like, because I felt bad, I was at Comic-Con, and it's like I had to go back and look and see what books these guys and gals were doing. I'm like, is this somebody I collect? Should I know this person? You know? And so it's like I need to start looking, and doing these podcasts have forced me to start looking at like the names in the credits list. But like, you know, Jim Lee, I'm a big fan of, but I'm not necessarily going to follow him around to whatever he's doing. Like, he's doing that Superman Unchained. I'm not collecting it because I'm not a Superman fan. So I'm a Jim Lee fan, but
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else to add to that?
Yep, I was gonna say real quick. 10 grand. I was talking about stylistic art.
Yeah.
See, again, that's not like realistic art, but it's very stylistic. But it fits. Yeah, it fits the story perfectly. I don't think 10 grand would be as enjoyable and immersive as it is if like Jim Lee were doing it. You know, I love Jim Lee, but he doesn't fit that story.
Did you hear the news on that book?
No, what?
Oh, he's gone.
It's done?
No, Ben Temple-Smith's out. He just he basically disappeared for a month.
Oh, no way. So they have somebody else pick it up?
Yeah, and JMS sent, I guess you can look it up, they're posting on it, but like everybody was trying to contact and he didn't answer anybody, so they're like, well, you know, we don't really have a choice. So they dropped him. And he chimed in on Twitter, like one little post that, you know, like he's okay, he's just, and everybody was like worried about him, you know, for his health, because nobody heard from him. But he's just like, I'm okay, I was just, apparently, you know, he had some stuff going on. But yeah, Temple Smith is off 10 grand.
Oh, I hope they find somebody who can like copy him, because it'd be interesting to see a different art style with that.
Yeah, and he did 30 Days of Night, right?
Yes, and that's how I got to 10 grand actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it fits that kind of like horror. I mean, 10 grand isn't really horror, but it kind of is. It's like that. This supernatural thriller
trippy,
type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess that about wraps it up. Next week, we should have a new host joining us. Her name is Sarah Evans, one of Paul's friends that he got hooked in. She just joined the community. We'll kind of promo a little bit, give her a shout out on there.
Everybody be sure to say hi to her in the community and welcome her along.
Yep, she'll be joining in on discussions and everything, hopefully. 2, next week we will be doing a giant-sized issue.
Yes, special double-sized.
Yep. The first half hour will be normal as usual. We'll do our normal thing. The second half hour, we're going to be going over some back issues, a story arc. Paul, tell them what we're going to be going over.
Okay, so the idea is, like, you know, to be able to expand on some of the stuff that, you know, isn't like in your pull box today. Something that like we've come across that was published like a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, or more, to help people like find out these gems that they may have missed. So different miniseries, maybe an individual comic here, but back issues, and we'll be able to go more in depth on them than we can in this half hour.
All right. So which one are we going to do next week?
Next week, I am going to. Oh, crap, you put me on the spot. We just talked about this.
Fall of Cthulhu.
Yes, the Fall of Cthulhu. The Fall of Cthulhu.
Is that
if you're a Cthulhu fan, yes. Well, nobody really knows for sure, except for H.P. Lovecraft, and he's dead. So, yeah. Fall of Cthulhu. If you're a Cthulhu fan, you should absolutely read this. It's like 5 volumes, so it's like 5 mini-series, but it's just. I'll save it for the next podcast, but you should be reading it.
All right.
Do your homework now.
So specifically, we'll be going over Volume 1.
Yes.
And so, yeah, pick it up. I think it's $12 on Comixology, or I'm sure you can order it off Amazon. I'll throw some links up on the show notes. And, yeah, that's about it. The Communicast home on the web is #Communicast on Google+, and cbcpodcast.tumblr.com. You can find all our episodes in audio or video, as well as links for subscriptions, downloads, and anything that we mentioned on the show. Thanks for joining us.
And hit us up in the comments and let us know what you think.
Definitely. We're always open to suggestions, and looking forward to next week. We'll be expanding. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.